The attention needed for both will be different. Are we together? So the next thing we'll be looking at here is barriers to visual by barriers to visual communication. You know what visual communication is all about? That is that entails uh, the use of diagram or projection. Let me use projection for example. Are we together? Now, what are the barriers to effective visual communication for you to see? Now, inappropriate use, when you cannot use inappropriate use of the equipment. Now, let's look at it. Either the aid does not do the job because it is wrongly conceived or because of the physical limitation. Inappropriate use, when you cannot use the visual communication very well, then there will be what? That will be a barrier to effective what? Visual communication. Then another one is overuse too many aids for the length of the presentation. The overuse of the what? Of the visual equipment. Another one is the misuse. The aid fails to work when or as required. So it could be a barrier to effective visual communication. Poor viewing condition. Members of the audience may be used to too little or too much color and be overcrowded. Flip chart often used to note down ideas from the audience to be drawn together by the presenter. Only be unreadable only to be unreadable because of what? Poor handwriting. When there is what? Poor viewing condition. Then the visual communication will be hindered. Then another one is the cost of production, the cost incurred in what? In having what? A visual communication is also an hindrance. So those are the uh, visuals are expensive and are not easily what? Affordable. So visual communication, for you to transmit visually, either online or wherever, it is what? It is very, very costly, very, very expensive. So any question? So let's quickly look at the multiple choice question. Which of the following is not an element of communication? Which of the following is not an element of communication? One, feedback. Two, encoding. Three, channel selection. Four, recipient. Five, conception. So which one is not? Oh yeah, you need the answer. Oh.
Recipient.
That would be recipient. Recipient is not part of what? Is not part of the let's assume is decoding we will have. Then when encoding the message, which of the following may be overlooked? When you are encoding, which one you may overlook? Language, symbol, sign, paradigm, vocabulary. Which one you can actually overlook when you are encoding?
Paradigm.
The paradigm, okay? An appropriate channel of communication is not dependent on a motorway, cost, distance, speed, convenience. An appropriate channel is not dependent on which one?
Motorway.
The motorway. Now the next one of the following is not the primary duty of the recipient of a message. Is not the primary duty of the recipient of a message. Which one? Decoding, the person receive, the recipient. Decoding, sending feedback. Interpretation, encoding, understanding.
Encoding.
That's encoding. Encoding is being done by the uh, the sender, abi.
Yes.
Is being done by the sender. Now, which of the following is not crucial for effective communication? Is not crucial. One, choice of words, clarity, giving evidence, effective listening, appropriate timing.
Giving evidence.
Giving evidence, okay, is not crucial. You don't need much evidence. You need to look at the choice of words, the clarity of purpose, then there should be effective listening, then appropriate timing is also part of it. Then um, giving evidence is not part of it. So now let's quickly move on to. So I want to give you. There's nothing. Okay, let's move down to the next chapter. Chapter 3. Let's quickly run through chapter 3. The media of communication. What do we mean by media of communication? Then also the difference among media of communication. Are we together? The difference. So we are looking at two things. Number one, the media of communication. Those are the channels by which we we send our message. Then difference among them. Then so let's quickly look at what media of communication is. In this media or methods of communicating a message are considered bearing in mind the basic principle that the suitability or otherwise of the media choosing would either facilitate the achievement of the desired purpose. Blah, 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 blah. A medium of communication refers to the means or the medium rather than or the method by which one intends to get a message across to the intended recipient. That is the means or the method you want to pass your message to your receiver. is known to be what? Medium. Is known to be medium. Are we together? Are we together? So now let's quickly move on to the first media of communication. The first one is verbal communication. When it's verbal communication, you are making use of the words of mouth. Are we together? The spoken words. Now, this is the type of communication that involves the use of spoken words. This is also referred to as oral communication, in that in this instance, information is being transmitted by the words of mouth. You make use of the words of mouth in this kind of what? Communication. Like what I'm doing right now is a verbal communication because I'm using what? The words of mouth is an oral what? Communication. Now, verbal communication is a two-way process involving two or more people proximate in a space and time. So it involves two or more people coming together. Are we together? So when it comes to verbal communication, is from two people. And who are the two people involved? The sender and the receiver. Though there could be more than two people, but someone must stand as the what? As the sender. Then other parties will be seen as what? Receiver. Are we together? Are we together? Verbal communication, I'm coming. Effective verbal communication requires communicators to possess good pronunciation skills. There should be good what? Good pronunciation skills, good articulation of words or syllables, as well as competence in sentence structure. That's about that's things you need to look for when you are communicating, when you want to send your message. Verbal communication implies communication through words of mouth. It includes individual conversing with each other, be it direct or telephone communication, like what we are having right now is a verbal communication. Speeches, presentation, discussions, interviews are all forms of verbal or oral communication. So any speeches, lecture, whatever, once it involves what? The words of mouth is they are part of what? Once anyone you are choosing, once it relates to words of mouth is an oral what? Communication. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? Now, it is recommended when communication is of a temporary nature or where direct interaction is needed. Now, we recommend oral communication where what you the communication is something that will not take a longer period. Like you want to quickly see someone, you don't need to pick your pen. You need physical presence of someone. You don't need to pick your pen and start writing. It's something you just that is urgent. Are we together? Or where the direct interaction is needed. So now, what are the forms of verbal communication? The first one is interviews. Now, this is often referred to as a two-way party conversation with a specific purpose. Interviews are part of a system of handling problems or queries of individuals and allows for confidentiality and flexibility in responding to personal issues where necessary. Now, when it comes to interviews, it is from a sender to the receiver, whereby you make inquiries about something. Are we together? You ask question and the person responding what give you what answer to the question being asked. Are we together? That's interview. Interviews are also principally used in the recruitment and selection process where job applicants are interviewed to determine their suitability for the position they are applying for. Here, you want to know how suitable the person your applicant is. So you have to what? You have to engage the person in what? In oral communication. Another one is meeting. A meeting is defined as an assembly of people coming together in accordance with legally bound rules and procedures for the purpose of discussing the business of the group as required by law. Now, when it comes to meeting, people will have to gather in order to discuss something that relates to the business. Are we together? Are we together? Meetings can be conveyed within the organization at any time. So within an organization, meetings can be conveyed at any point in time. Your MD can just gather the staff together and discuss some things with the staff. Even so, meetings can take place at any point in time. They may also be used to bring members of the organization into contact with the other organization. Sometimes members of a particular organization can meet with another member of another organization, members of another organization. So in such instance, meeting is taking place. They may also be used to bring members of the organization with a member. Meetings are normally held for a number of purposes. We there is always a meetings are held for different purposes. Abi, if there is no purpose, then there won't be any meeting. So meetings are held for a particular what purpose. Meetings are normally held for a number of purposes, such as provision of information to people who may require them. So you may wish to deliver some information to certain number of some set of people. So you have to call them together and deliver your message. Then creation of involvement. In a meeting, there is always what involvement. People will what will speak out their mind when it comes to meeting. Then also, are we together? Participation and interest, discussion of ideas and problems for which members may be seeking solutions provision of details of reports, and for purposes of coordinating an activity. So, in such instance, meetings may be required. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? Now let's move down to telephone. Telephone is one of the most common methods of verbal communication. Like what we are having is a telephone word, telephone communication. So we are discussing with the use of what? Telephone. And that's one of the method of communication. In this instance, communication may take place between two or more parties and in different what? Locations or within the what? Within the organization's what? Premises. Like what we are having. I'm at my own location and you are also at your location. So because of the location difference, we are able to what? We are able to communicate with our phone. Are we together? We communicate via what? Via the internet. That's telephone what? Communication. When appropriately used, this method of communication could be very effective as it provides immediate feedback and may be relatively less expensive. So sometimes, like, okay, let's assume you are in Lagos and you need to send a message to someone in Abuja. You need to get information to someone in Abuja. So the fastest means of communication is the use of your telephone. So you pick up your telephone and then dial the person's number and give it and put a call through. Are we together? So communication via telephone is one of the what? Is one of the mode form of what? Verbal communication. Are we together? So that's about that. What are the advantages of verbal communication? Since verbal communication is interpersonal, that is, it involve two or more people. That is, it is from it is from it is between two people. Are we together? It's interpersonal. There is a high level of understanding and transparency. There is what? High level of understanding and what? Transparency. Now, another thing is that there is no element of rigidity as there is flexibility because any of the party involved can change the decision previously what taken. There is always flexibility. You can change based on from what you can make the decision from your involvement before. It is because feedback is instantaneous. Decisions are made quickly without any delay. That is because you are able to get feedback easily. You can quickly make your decision on time. It is time saving as well as money and effort savings at times. Now you can't compare the cost involved, the cost we are incurring while communicating here to when, let's assume I said we need to meet at our center to have a physical lecture. Do you understand? Now can you compare the cost you are incurring now during this lecture with the cost you will incur when you have a physical class? Let's assume you are to attend our own physical class. So can you just tell me something about it? Hello.
The cost of transportation and the time that will take to get there.
Thank you. You have to incur transport transport what? Transport fare, cost on your transportation, and also time, stress. But here you are at your place listening to what? Listening to lecture. It is what? It is cost effective. Are we together? It is time saving as well as money and effort what? Savings. So here you are at home, let's say you are at home being relaxed and you are receiving lecture. Now compare it to when you go for a physical meeting. So the difference is what? Is clear. Now another thing is conflict, disputes and many issues and differences can be put to an end by talking them over. So there is always, whenever there is conflict, it is very easy for you to what? Have a talk over the what? The issue on ground. Are we together? It is essential for group or teamwork. So um another advantage of verbal communication is that it is essential for group work or teamwork. Now oral communication is very essential when it comes to teamwork or group work. You'll be able to what? Share ideas. It can be used to boost morale and encourage employees in an organization. So with oral communication, there is what? Good morale. You have a boost morale, then employees what? It encourages employees in an organization. Are we together? Now let's quickly look at the disadvantages of communication, verbal communication. What are the disadvantages involved when you are having what? Verbal communication? One is that verbal communication is not suitable, for example, in business communication because such information is formal. Sometimes verbal communication, whenever whenever you want to you want to deliver a confidential message, so verbal communication may not be appropriate. Are we together? So you have to what? You have to send it via email, which is what? Written. Because of its informal nature, what is what is said can be denied because it is not what? Documented. Now with verbal communication, anybody can deny what? Can deny the verbal communication. Let's assume I say something and you want to quote me. I can easily what? If it is not being recorded, I can easily what? Deny my what? My what? My words. Are we together? I can easily deny what I've said, what I have said. So oral communication can easily be denied. Now another thing is meetings, conferences and long speeches consume a lot of time and may be unproductive at times. That is when meetings are long. When you have a meeting, conferences and long speech, now it takes a lot of what? A lot of time. And at times when you are being bored, it could the communication load will not be what? Will not be effective. It is unpredictable as verbal communication is not easy to maintain. So verbal communication may not necessarily be easy to maintain. Now let's look at non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication. Now non-verbal communication involves the transmission of information from a transmitter to a receiver through the use of body language, facial expressions, symbols, dress and pictures. So now you are not using your what? Your the voice of mouth. The next thing you want to use what? Is sign language. You want to transfer your message via um via your facial expression. You know sometimes facial expression also communicate to the person receiving the message. Are we together? Now let's take for instance, you get to somewhere, you want to deliver a message and you look at the person's facial expression. Through the person's facial expression, you can what? You can depict the kind of message. You can easily depict from your mind what the person is saying. Abi, Abi, are you there? So that's non-verbal what? Non-verbal communication with you. For you, rather, that's non-verbal communication. Now, non-verbal communication techniques are sometimes employed by communicators consciously and at times unconsciously. We use what? Non-verbal communication is either when we are conscious and when we are not what? When we are not aware. You may be aware, you can be aware, you can easily use verbal communication and you may not be aware when you want to deliver non-verbal communication. So any question before we move on? Any question?
No question.
So non-verbal communication is an example of routine and non-routine communication. Is something we do what? Over and over. Are we together? In this instance, each person involved in the communication process is a facilitator, of non-communication, non-verbal communication. So anybody involved, anyone involved, are facilitators of what? Communication. Each person involved in this kind of communication are facilitator to communication, non-verbal communication. Moreover, forms of the various forms include number one, diagrams, picture, graphs, and slides, which facilitate the effective transmission of non-verbal communication. Now, let's quickly look at the various types of non-verbal communication we have. So let's quickly look at the various types of communication like we have. So now what are the um, types of communication, non-verbal communication we have? The first one is body language, or we call it kinesis. Now, this involves the movement of the body. When you move your body, that is, you are also communicating. The movement of your body also what gives, also communicate, also send message. It delivers what message. Are we together? Are we together? So now, first one is why okay. Now under this movement of body, we have a facial expression. Like I said, facial expression also conveys meaning. You can't tell me the facial expression when you find your face. When someone sees your face, the person can easily what repeat what is happening. Are we together? Without even what? Without even saying anything. Majema. Now, a snarly face says something is different. Say something different from a smile. When someone snore, a snorting face. When someone gives a snorting face. So the kind of expression, the kind of message the person is sending will be different from what someone who is smiling is saying. Are we together? When let's say you just get to somewhere and you give a smiling face, people can easily what? Can easily decode what you are trying to say. Are we together? Are we together? And also when you smile, people can easily what? Repeat. See your smiling what? Smiling face. Now, facial expressions like smiles, frowns, narrowed eyes may be intended to transmit one, friendliness, anger, or disbelief, respectively. When you give a smile face, it means there is what? Friendly what? Friendly relationship. When it is anger, when you frown, it means you are passing what? An aggression. Or when you give a narrowed face, that's a disbelief. So that one is a means of, those are the means of transmitting message from what? Facial expression. Are we together? Another one is gesture. Another one is gesture. Gesture. This involves pointing fingers, shaking of head to transmit or emphasize focus or disagreement. Now, when it comes to gesture, you either shake your head or you what? You make use of your what? Fingers in what? In communicating. Are we together? That's another form of what? Body language. So another one is movement. Quick pacing up and down, finger drumming, leisuring strolling may also transmit impatience, boredom, or relaxation, and all non-verbal communication techniques which may be used to to send messages. So when there is movement, your movement the movement of your body sometimes also what? Also deliver what? It delivers message. Are we together? It delivers message. So that's for body what? That's for body language. Now the next one is proxemics. The next one is what? Proxemics. Now, proxemics involves how people use space and distance around them in communicating. How you make use of the space and distance around you to communicate. Example, a student who enters a lecture theatre and decides to sit in the back row instead of the front may be indicating his reluctance to be what? To be involved. Now, someone who just gets into the lecture theatre, are we together? And sit at the back. The person instead of the front, the person does not want to what? The person is not ready to involve him or herself in the what? In the lecture. Are we together? In the class. So and that one is what? Is a form of what? Form of communication. Now, under the proximity, we have positioning. Are we together? Keeping a respective distance, looking over one's shoulder, or sitting close to someone are form of using what? Non-verbal cues to communicate. They transmit awareness of different status, a close working relationship or relaxed mutual trust respectively. When you what? When you keep distance, when there is distance, another thing is another one is when you are looking on another person's shoulder while you people are together. So this one, there are proximities that is the kind of communication that involve space and what? Distance. Then when you are too close to the person, you sit very close to the person. That one also is showing a message, is transmitting a what? Transmitting a message. Now, posture also. Now, standing straight and erect, lounging, sitting hunched back, leaning forward, spreading oneself in a chair are all means of what? Communicating non-verbally. This conveys alertness and care, self-confidence, or even overconfidence, then neighborness or ease respectively. So all this one, when you stand straight and erect, when you sit, when you sit on top, leaning forward or and others, they are transmitting what? A message. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? So the next one is paralinguistic what? Feature. So feedback signs of surprise or disagreement or annoyance or impatience. For example, oops up. A heightened awareness of what people are saying non-verbally could greatly assist the manager to read a situation and to act, perhaps towards of a personality clash or to calm and irate customer. The use of tones, stress and intonation as non-verbal cues are oral communication is also important such as cues add emphasis to or cause significant change in meaning in utterances. So paralinguistic feature is also one of the form of non-verbal communication. Personal appearance also is also one of the non-verbal communication. Physical appearance always contributes towards how people are perceived. it contributes to how people are being what perceived. Now let's take for instance when someone is when someone for example neatly dressed hair, iron clothes and a lively smile can carry more weight in describing a person than the use of word. When you dress properly, it will carry more weight and also give a particular meaning than when you make use of the words of mouth. And that's one of the that's one of the uh, form of non-verbal communication. So now pictures of non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication can be unintentional. You may be aware of what is happening and you may not be aware. Sender may be unaware that he or she is sending non-verbal communication and consequently may not be aware of the impact it may have. So when you are transmitting message, you may you may not be aware of the kind of message you are sending. So in such instance, um, non-verbal communication can be unintentional. Sometimes let's assume someone just say something and you give one facial expression and the person look at you. The person can read meaning to what you are saying without saying anything based on your what? Based on your facial expression. Are we together? But you may not be what? You may not be the facial expression may not be intentional. So and then the impact after you may not be aware of the of the impact. Then another thing is non-verbal communication may be more honest than a verbal one. Non-verbal communication may be more honest than when you say something with the words of your mouth. Since the message can be transmitted unconsciously, the sender will not have to plan it. You don't need to plan except you rehearsed. There's one you plan, but the one you are not intentional about. You don't have intention about it. You it will actually it will actually say something. It gives a true meaning to what you are transmitting. Are we together? Therefore, a non-verbal message can be more reliable than an oral or a verbal one, a written one. Now, another one is neither oral or written communication exists without non-verbal communication. Without there is no how you want to do anything. Both oral and written communication cannot exist without non-verbal. Now, let's take for instance. Let's assume myself and you we are in a particular we find ourselves in a particular garden and I put something in a sheet of paper. I ask someone to deliver it to me and you give a smile. Are we together? So that smile to me has actually given me what? A feedback. Do you understand? Has given me what? A feedback of the message I sent to you. Do you understand? So sometimes oral communication, non-verbal communication works together with verbal communication. And then sometimes when you smile, it tells me that okay, you actually after you've read the the message, it shows to me that you've understood the what? the message I sent to you. You have an understanding to what was sent to you. Are we together? So that's how non-verbal communication works. So the two oral and non written communication does not cannot exist without what? Without non-verbal. Non-verbal communication reinforces oral communication by providing non-verbal cues to emphasize what is being said over orally. Sometimes when you are communicating, you also use non-verbal communication. Use your hand to explain. You make use of your hand to explain so that the person receiving it can actually what? Understand what you are saying. Let's assume you have a presentation. There is no how you are presenting to people that you will not make use of your hand. Yes or no? You are presenting to
Yes.
people. Yes, you will surely use your what? You will surely use your hand in telling people what your intention of the message you are sending is. Are we together? So non-verbal communication provides additional visual stimulus. It provides additional visual stimulus. The presence of diagrams enhances the quality of what is being what communicated. So when there is diagram, it will surely enhance what is being what communicated. So now let's move on to advantages of non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication can help the communicator to overcome language barrier. With non-verbal communication, give it will actually help you to overcome language barrier. Another thing is with non-verbal communication, it makes possible for information to be conveyed to many audience. With your non-verbal communication, people are able to what? To reach through your message easily. Non-verbal communication may be more reliable at times than verbal or oral communication because it is mostly transmitted unconsciously. You transmit your oral communication when you are not aware. Another thing is that non-verbal communication is always present because this form of communication is associated with oral or written communication. Like I said, like I said, non-verbal communication is always present anywhere. You have to attach it to your what? You have to attach it to your oral and written communication. Based like the example being cited before. I want to communicate to you. I put it in writing and it has been delivered and you give a smile or you give one reaction. I can read through that what the message I sent to you, you have understanding of it based on your what reaction. So oral non-verbal communication also work in line with oral and written communication. Are we together? So disadvantages of non-verbal communication, we'll just read through this, then we continue in our next class. Non-verbal communication can at times be difficult to interpret without reinforcing it with written or spoken words. So there is no how. Let's assume I can attach any meaning through your sign language, except I have to we need to meet and ask you for what? Clarity on what you are trying to say. So it's interpretation to non-verbal communication may be difficult. Non-verbal communication may require additional skills of comprehension and interpretation. For you to understand non-verbal cues, it means you have to what? You have to understand, you need additional what? On comprehension, and also give you also need additional interpretation to what is being sent. Non-verbal communication does not allow time for evaluation. There is no time for you to evaluate, because sometimes the message you are sending is unintentional. You are not aware, so there is no you don't have time for evaluating what the kind of message you are sending. Are we together? So we move from here. We will be stopping here. So any question before we put the class to end? Any question?
No question for me.
So no question for now. So I hope you started preparing. I've sent the exam dates to you, and also what you are paying for your exam. So I hope preparation has started. You started your personal reading.
Yes.
God will grant you success in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you.
So thank you for joining. Enjoy your week.
Thank you. Bye.